What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. I got the clothing line to prove it. And today we have another interview with the Workhorse Cfo, Steve Schrader. Some seriously insightful information came out of this interview. We spent a lot of time speaking about Hitachi. You guys are not going to want to miss this one. Right before we get into the video, can I please ask you to drop an early like on this one for Steve? Drop me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Workhorse. And please, if you're new around here, hit that juicy red subscribe button, people, and join the family. I won't waste any of your time. Straight into the interview.
So guys, here we are yet again. We have a familiar face on the channel, Steve Schrader, the CFO of Workhorse, coming on for the second portion of this interview in a time that is very, very busy for him. So Steve, thank you so much for making the time out of your day to be here with us again.
Thanks, Jack. Happy to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think we all know what the primary topic of discussion is going to be for today's video. Workhorse entering their strategic agreement with Hitachi and Hitachi Capital America. And today I just want to figure out what that actually means for Workhorse. What's that going to do for us? You can probably tell I'm very excited. My video that I put up yesterday, I think I was like a little kid on Christmas when I found out this news. But so that's what we're going to talk about. So I suppose the first thing I'll say is, why have Workhorse decided to go ahead and work with Hitachi? And what will the main purpose of the agreement be?
Well, we're excited too. So Hitachi, I think first is, I'm not sure even a lot of people are familiar with what Hitachi does. If you go out there and look at Hitachi and their group of companies, they are in like every industry. The reach is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think too, from our standpoint, Hitachi is a well-respected company, and we are eager and excited that they chose us to kind of enter kind of the last mile delivery market with us.
Yes.
You know, and I think too, from a standpoint of Hitachi, you know, I think what our goal is, and let me say first is Hitachi doesn't take strategic alliances lightly.
Yes.
And
Happy days.
I mean, yeah, and so they chose us, which is exactly very exciting. And I think they also don't take press releases lightly. That's a big thing for them. And so just to actually have a press release that they allowed us to do and talk about it is exciting. The main components of the agreement really is they're going to do an operations assessment of our Union City facility, and kind of the all around it, the purchasing and everything that goes into actually manufacturing a truck. And they're going to do an evaluation for us. So from our standpoint, the evaluation is not looking for us to get to the 5 a month or so that we're going to try to do at the end of this quarter, in the fourth quarter, and get 300 to 400 out. Their evaluation is really saying, okay, we know you're going to do 5 a month in the fourth quarter. That's your goal. We're trying to, your next step is to get to 10 a month, or 10 a day, 20 a day, 30 a day, 40 a day, 10,000 orders for a year, for an annual amount. And we will look at your operations and say, here's our recommendations and how you can do that, how you would ramp up to do that. What systems you would use, maybe what automation we would recommend, what capital we would recommend spending to kind of be able to do 10,000 for a year. And then secondly, I think would also, we are looking at them from a standpoint of they're going to be out there, our foot soldiers from a standpoint of orders. They have a huge dealer network. They have sales channels already established. Hitachi Automotive has a huge reach. And from our standpoint, what we do, we mentioned, I think you and I talked about it, at least Jack, the last time, is we don't want to have a huge sales force.
Yeah.
From our standpoint, we'd like to use companies like Schrader, companies like Hitachi that already have sales channels out there and network dealers out there, and have them kind of push our products. We have a great product, and we want them to be our foot soldiers on that, from that standpoint, and then get out there and bring us orders. And from their standpoint, what's in it for them is we really just want to sell the trucks. After the sales, when you think of all the opportunities that are to make money, you have money from a standpoint that can be made from financing the truck, the infrastructure, the maintenance and servicing of the truck. That's what's open to like a Schrader or Hitachi, and again, that's where they have an interest in helping us and helping us put more on the road.
That's exciting. It's very exciting. I think this is the piece of news that a lot of Workhorse investors are waiting for. You know what I mean? And seeing something like this is amazing. So obviously, Hitachi's going to do quite a lot for the company. Then straight off the bat, it looks like a fantastic agreement to have.
Yeah, they are, and they're excited. They're excited to kind of get going from a standpoint of presenting our product to like their dealers.
Cool.
So they're raring to go, which is exciting for us.
That is cool, because that is another thing I was going to say. Obviously, I started to try to do some research into Hitachi, and as you said, they don't take these things lightly. I can't find too many. I couldn't find out too much about other partnerships they had whatsoever. You know what I mean? One of the most interesting things I found was an article from July 16th speaking about their ABB power grids launching their EV charging fleet systems. So I'm wondering, a quote from it is, the product integrates a grid connection with multiple charging systems, enabling electric public transport and commercial fleet operators to charge more vehicles with less infrastructure. I mean, I think that speaks for itself, but I assume this also has to be just really valuable in regards to this agreement.
It is valuable. I think from a standpoint, it makes it easier for the customer to kind of make that decision, because infrastructure is an important part of that. Certainly we're getting a lot of looks from a lot of different companies and consideration of orders, because we can save them a lot of money on fuel and maintenance, with our trucks. But they also have to consider the infrastructure side of it, and that's where partners like Hitachi, they have that sort of relationship and abilities, or Duke, from a standpoint of, they can do the same thing. They can be the infrastructure sales and also infrastructure experts that can help integrate both of them together.
I think it's cool. And that was actually one other thing I was going to ask. Is this going to affect your alliance with Duke in any way, or will they both just keep doing their thing?
I think everybody's going to keep doing their thing. I think it's not, whether it's Duke or Hitachi or Ryder, again, there's money to be made after the sale.
Yeah.
And I think and we see also competition, they're all kind of looking to bring orders. They all have different reaches. They all have different networks. They all have different existing customers already. And just look at in all the different United States of what the opportunities are that companies that can consider using an electric truck, whether it be a baking, dry cleaning, we talked about the refrigeration from the Krogers and the grocery stores, and now the big companies like Walmart and Amazon that are in grocery stores as well. Yeah. There are tons of companies that want to use, that use trucks and use our size trucks and want to electrify.
Exactly. So that is awesome. It's just really increasing the reach and increasing the accessibility, in particular to these kind of bigger companies, as you just said. A few of the names, Walmart is one that I think springs to a lot of people's mind right now. Yeah. With everything that's going on. And then I suppose, speaking about refrigeration quickly, something that we spoke about in the last interview, as you just said, do you plan on working alongside Hitachi in regards to the refrigeration aspect, or is that still something you guys will just handle by yourselves? Because I know that they're in that kind of game as well.
Yeah, I think it's certainly, we'll use whatever expertise that they have. They have a lot of different operations. Like I said, they're in almost in any industry you can think of. To the extent that they have expertise there, we'll certainly use it. But we were kind of going down that path, like we discussed already, that we were kind of trying to get a prototype out by the end of the year, and already have a lot of customer interest in refrigeration.
Exciting. Again, I do think that's one that people are really starting to realize. I mean, in the last interview, we put a lot of emphasis on how important the drones will be in the long term. But now I think a lot of people are starting to realize, wow, refrigeration is really important, especially when it comes to actually getting these bigger contracts, So having
it's very big. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think it's quite obvious the answer, but fair to assume that this partnership, especially from the words of a CEO, will put us into a better financial position pretty much even before production capacity gets increased.
I think we're already in a good financial position. I think, from a standpoint of we already have $100 million in cash sitting on the balance sheet. And I think that'll let us go forward from a standpoint of our current operations, what our ramping schedule is. It also lets us evaluate whether we also have some high cost of capital that's still on the books from our standpoint, that maybe we could take that out with some cash. It also lets us look at, from a standpoint, if we had a bigger order or we want to ramp up quicker, that's something then we'll look for additional capital at that point in time period. But on the current speed of where we're at, from a standpoint of what we're doing and kind of what we're thinking about this year will be, or even volume next year, I think the cash takes us into 2022. So, financing, I think when you think about Hitachi, they could certainly bring financing to us if that's what we wanted to do. Yeah. But I would think it more as bringing financing to our customers and giving them an opportunity to finance the trucks and or the infrastructure.
Again, just makes things so much more accessible for pretty much everybody involved.
Exactly.
That is cool. That is very cool. Exciting. And so I suppose one of the concerns I've seen a few times from people, it's not a concern that I share, but the capabilities of producing large quantities of vehicles just in general right now. Well, I know the plant already has a capacity of, I think, producing 60,000 vehicles. And then, as we spoke about the last interview as well, Lordstown, upwards of 600,000. But again, do you think that this agreement should take away some of that anxiety from people who have any issues about this whatsoever? I mean, having somebody like this on your side.
Yeah, it should, because I think right now we've kind of got our plan of what we could do for this year and how we can start producing this year. And then even ramping up towards next year too, and higher amounts, more than 100 a month. Having said that, again, that's exactly what this agreement is you know, you don't want to just be at 1,000 or 2,000 trucks a year. You, at the end of the day, you know, we're looking to be at 5,000, 10,000 C series trucks a year. And that's where Hitachi's expertise, they've done this for so many manufacturing companies, have gone in and actually looked at, you know, the operations, your purchasing, and the whole system. And they recommend, you know, different, you know, they'll make the recommendations to us from a standpoint of what it would take to get there. And then we can evaluate that. You know, I think at the end of the day, we'll take their recommendations, look at that strategically, and also look at our other options, like we also talked about. From a standpoint of Lordstown obviously being a potential to actually doing some outsourcing as well. So it's just good information to have. And like we talked about, it's good to have options.
Yeah, that's one of the key takeaways we took from the last one. It's good to have options. Always good.
CFOs always like to have options.
I think that's just the essence of what this agreement brings. Is it's just more and more options, more and more possibilities. Absolutely. Right off the bat. That is cool as. So I suppose in regards to some of, you know, obviously we're doing this in hopes of bigger production capacities and being more efficient, etc. And we spoke about Walmart and Kroger just a second ago. A lot of people seem to be speaking about Walmart in particular right now. I think it's because of everything that's going on with Amazon and their, you know, same day deliveries now, and Walmart trying to break into that space. I'm just wondering, are you in talks with Walmart or any other major retailers that you're able to speak of as of right now, or is there any other kind of involvements in that realm right now?
I think you should consider that we're in talks with everyone you would think we would be in talks with.
Okay.
And I think from a standpoint, Walmart, I think I just read today that they were going to try to match Amazon's Prime, you know, delivery.
Yeah.
You know, some sort of relationship like that. They would charge a certain monthly amount or so, or annual amount, and they would kind of deliver just as quick. So I think that shows their focus on what they want to do from a delivery standpoint, and they're going to need a lot of trucks to do that, and or drones. We hope, you know. So again, I think that's just one more step of all these delivery companies that are trying to get to customers quicker with more goods, and in some cases trying to get touchless delivery, which is kind of brings in the drone.
Yeah, definitely. So there's your answer to everybody who's asked about Walmart and all of these other bigger chains. If you imagine that they're in talks, they're probably having a chat somewhere along the line.
Right.
And speaking about drones as of late, okay, because I know recently, I don't have the article on hand, but I know there was a bad write-up. But like, you guys aren't expecting to have these on the road for another 12 to 18 months or so. Is that correct? All going well?
Yeah, it's all going well. I think you could look at that more as a customer dispute that's for some reason, I don't know why it got into the press. But that, you know, certainly that'll be resolved one way or the other. And from a standpoint of our drones, yeah, you have to go through a 12 to 18 month process.
Yeah.
You want to be certified by the FAA for production and type certification.
Yeah.
That takes 12 to 18 months, and they have you fly over 400 hours. You know, and so, you know, you're flying a lot. And so the whole idea behind the certification and those hours and what you have to kind of go through is to make sure that you are designing something that is safe, and it can be used in the terms that you want to use it. And the FAA would then, you know, certify. So we're certainly going through that process, and excited about that too, because I think when you get those certifications, then you can actually commercially do things from a long-term basis. And I think we had talked about drones, not only originally we thought could sell our trucks, which, you know, sell more trucks, and we still think that'll happen and will be used on trucks, but we think there's an opportunity, I think we had discussed earlier, that you could be a drone OEM unto itself. Yes. And there's a good business case for that, and just as lucrative as the truck business case.
That's awesome. That's sick. It's just something it did not worry me at all, but I saw more and more people speaking about it, and I was like, this is just the kind of thing that's always going to happen. You know what I mean? Especially we've seen it as of late. There's been so many attacks all over the place recently. There's been a lot of ghost companies getting involved in the space as of late. So hopefully people hearing that from your mouth will just give us a little bit more confidence, and everything's okay still. Everything's okay. It is
Oh,
okay.
everything's fine. We're going forward, and we're talking to big customers that know that whole article wasn't where we're at.
Yeah, good. That's exactly what I expected. As long as they won't listen to me though, Steve. You know? They need to hear it coming from you. You know?
They don't always listen to me either. So
That's the way it is. I suppose that was the main things I wanted to cover today. I think a lot of the other stuff we covered in the last video. The Hitachi is the main thing, and I think you've just answered the questions that everybody's going to have, because everybody's trying to read between the lines of the small information we have. It's just amazing all around, basically. It's going to make production better. It'll make our financial position better. It opens us up to more customers. We're in chats with big customers as it is. Everything looks better than ever, really.
Yeah, we think Hitachi is huge. I would encourage your viewers to go out to Hitachi and their website and look at their companies, their group of companies. It's amazing what they are all involved in. And I think what's exciting for us is how excited they are to be involved with us and get going. Yeah. So that's really exciting.
That's exciting. Definitely, guys. Do what he said. Go look into Hitachi now. You're only going to get more excited, people. But Steve, I appreciate that today in particular you're extremely busy, so I won't take up any more of your time. That's everything I wanted to ask. And again, thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking to the viewers again, Steve.
Happy to do it, Jack.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So guys, once again, an absolutely massive thanks to Steve for coming onto the channel. You guys loved the first interview we did. Some absolutely fantastic information coming out of Steve as per usual. And some really exciting developments in regards to Workhorse stock in general, people. I for one am more excited and more confident in the company than I have ever been before. So happy days all around. Also, if you have watched until the end of the video, you my friend are a true legend. But anyway guys, if you did enjoy, please drop the video a like if you haven't yet, subscribe if you're new, and drop me a comment. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you all for the next video. Peace.